Greetings, free thinkers, and welcome to the Hoggcast. Okay, this is part 2 of my video into the car crash interview in which Prince Andrew gave to the BBC, in which he pretty much buried himself, contradicted himself, humiliated himself, incriminated himself, and not only that, but he also potentially incriminated many other people who we would generally describe as being in the swamp. People from the United Nations, politicians, academics, artists, and the like. So if you didn't see the first part of this video, it should be above your head right here, around now. I would recommend watching that first. I wanted to break them up into smaller pieces because it's easier for you guys to view. So with that taken into consideration, if you haven't yet, by all means subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, like the video. So let's get straight into it. Here we go.
Not, as it were, as close as you might think. We weren't that close. So therefore, I mean, yes, I would go and stay in his house, but that was because of his girlfriend, not because of him.
Was that visit, December of 2010, the only time you saw him after he was convicted?
Yes.
Did you see him or speak to him again?
No, that was that. Funny enough, 2010 was it. That was it, because I went. Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure that if I was going to go and see him, I had to make sure that there was enough time between his release, because it wasn't something that I was going into in a hurry, but I had to go and see him. I had to go and see him.
I had to stay with him and stay in the house.
I could easily have gone and stayed somewhere else, but sheer convenience of being able to get a hold of the man was. I mean, he was in and out all over the place. So getting him in one place for a period of time to actually have a long enough conversation to say, look, these are the reasons why I'm not going to. And that happened on the walk.
Okay, so right off the bat, Prince Andrew has contradicted himself in a number of ways, with the most glaring one in which he says that he could have easily stayed somewhere else when he went to stay with Epstein. Now, he says he only went to see Epstein because he wanted to say to him that we could never speak again, we could never be seen together again. I went over that in my first video. However, he also then says that it could have been easy to go and stay somewhere else. It could have been so easy to go and stay at a hotel, for example. Well, isn't the words easy and the word convenience mutually exchangeable and agreeable with each other? Isn't something that is convenient also easy? So if it was easy to go and stay somewhere else, then why was it convenient for him to go and stay at Jeffrey Epstein's house? Bearing in mind, by his own words, he was saying that he was only going over there to say that they couldn't be seen together anymore. Not that they couldn't actually be together, they couldn't be seen together anymore. Yet he decides to go and stay at the man's house. That's like if I fell out with you, saying we had a falling out. It could be over anything, okay? And I had to go, saying something was stolen, and I had to come to you to say to you that I don't want to be seen with you anymore. I don't want to be around you anymore. Would I then stay in your house? Would I then stay over there, have dinner there, be entertained there? Of course I wouldn't.
July of this year, Epstein was arrested on charges of sex trafficking and abusing dozens of underage girls. One of Epstein's accusers, Virginia Roberts, has made allegations against you. She says she met you in 2001. She says she dined with you, danced with you at Tramp nightclub in London. She went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell, your friend. Your response?
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No.
She says she met you in 2001. She dined with you. She danced with you. You bought her drinks. You were in Tramp nightclub in London. And she went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Didn't happen.
And in response to that ludicrous suggestion that he had never met Virginia Roberts, who was one of the many victims of Epstein and Epsteinism in general by Epstein and his close group of elitist scumbags, and I would present to you as a counterpiece of evidence this photo, which we will see later in the video. Prince Andrew is denying is real. Now, I know people can lie. I know people can give you false or can send your way false accusations. I know that personally, okay? But, however, when you have photographs and video evidence and multiple witness testimony who was there, you have to question whether the potential for this to be a smear is real or not, because the more people that are involved with a smear, or the more people that are alleged to be involved with a smear, the harder it is for it actually to be a smear. For example, if there is 20 people that says they saw you at the scene of a crime, there was photographic evidence of you being at the crime, there was video evidence of you being at the crime, was you at the crime? I mean, you could the only thing you've got left to hammer into that case is DNA evidence. Of course, that's not going to happen. We're talking about something that was alleged to have happened in 2001, and lo and behold, the video quality and the dress code of the people in this photograph fit perfectly with 2001. Now, later in the video, you will see Prince Andrew try to say that this photograph is a photograph of a photograph of a photograph, and that it was potentially altered. Now, that would be long before Photoshop was in a real... I'm not entirely sure if Photoshop was in its infancy in 2001. It may have existed. Other photo manipulation software may have existed. However, it wasn't in widespread use. And why would someone hold on to this photo of an elite and keep it for 18 years only to use it now? It's very rare for a royal to be challenged in such a way as he's being challenged now. For most of British history, it simply wouldn't have happened. Okay? That's why I give the BBC rare props for actually sticking it to the elite. Bearing in mind, I am a supporter of the British monarchy, but that doesn't mean they're above the law. It does not mean they are above reproach. I am nuanced. I keep things kind of in the middle on a level. I'm not partisan, but I do support the British monarchy as the last remaining link to our glory days. Getting back to this photo, this clearly puts Prince Andrew in Glens House. Glen, if you can remember, is described by Prince Andrew as Epstein's girlfriend, when in actuality she was the chief procurer of much more gullible, much more naive, much younger ladies.
I have no recollection of ever meeting her. I'm almost, in fact, I'm convinced that I was never in trance with her. There are a number of things that are wrong with that story. One of which is that I don't know where the bar is in tramps. I don't drink. I don't think I've ever bought a drink in Tramp whenever I was there.
Do you remember dancing at Tramp?
So I'm not sure if anyone else caught that, but there was a glaring contradiction in there in which he first says that he's never been to Tramps, and then only 10 seconds later, probably less, he says he never bought a drink whenever he was there. So make up your mind, Prince Andrew. Was you never there, or was you there but you just didn't buy any drinks? And by the way, I don't think anyone buys this story that you don't drink alcohol. I definitely. You're a party animal. Your nickname was quote-unquote Randy Andy. And who gave you that nickname? One Jeffrey Epstein.
It's the 10th of March. I was at home. I was with the children. I'd taken Beatrice to a Pizza Express in Woking for a party at I suppose sort of 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And then because the Duchess was away, we have a simple rule in the family that when one's away, the other one's there. I was on terminal leave at the time from the Royal Navy, so therefore I was at home.
Why would you remember that so specifically? Why would you remember a Pizza Express birthday and being at home?
Because going to Pizza Express in Woking is an unusual thing for me to do.
So in that segment there of the Prince Andrew Circus interview, we had Prince Andrew stating in bizarre detail a night which was one of many nights that happened 18 years ago. He could remember everything like he's got a photographic memory. Of course, the only things he can't seem to remember or recall is anything potentially incriminating, but that's okay because we can read in between the lines as we are in this interview, in this video, and we can see exactly what he is saying when he's not actually saying it. We can examine his body language. Now, in this particular segment, we've had him going to pizza. I personally do not buy, me being a pro-royal and a British person in general, and working class, I do not buy this idea that Prince Andrew, who is as elite as it gets, goes and eats at Pizza Express. Not only that, he even says it himself, he even explains it himself. He says, this is something that I very rarely do. In my opinion, it's something that he never does. But he says, as if to give himself cover for never being seen there at all, and no one can recollect him being seen there in any type of pizza establishment, is that he says, I very rarely go there, if at all. Of course he doesn't go there. Pizza Express is seen as beneath him. It's not something the royal family do. They don't eat at Pizza Express or McDonald's or Burger King or Pizza Hut. It's not their type of thing.
So you're absolutely sure that you're at home on the 10th of March.
Yeah.
She was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time, and that was yes, I didn't sweat at the time because I had suffered what I would describe as an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at. And I simply, it was almost impossible for me to sweat. And it's only because...
Oh, come on. How stupid do you think the people are? It's either you think the people are stupid, or you're stupid yourself, or you're possibly desperate, which, in my opinion, I personally believe you are. I think you have painted yourself into a corner. I think you were forced to do this video by the royal family estate. I think you don't want to do this interview at all. And from start to finish, you have royally, excuse the pun, screwed yourself. Now, getting on to what's been it's gotten the moniker of Sweatgate. Come on. Who are you fooling? Come on. I mean, I'm lost for words. You give a cock and ball story about... Now, look, anyone who was served in the Falklands War, you get my credit. And that, being an even-minded, level-headed person, that even includes Prince Andrew. Thank you, Prince Andrew, for your service in the Falklands and the British military in general. Not that being a royal you actually do much. But thank you anyway. And also, as I've said in my previous video, and I'll say again, he's innocent until proven guilty. I do not like smears. I do not like lies. I am not smearing about him or lying about him. I am just picking apart his absurd answers and giving my take on what I think actually happened. Now, with that out of the way, let's get on to Sweatgate. I've never heard of a medical condition, and I did try to check it up, in which you can have such a sudden surge of adrenaline, your sweat glands explode temporarily, or when I say temporarily, sort of long term, but they eventually come back again. So you can mysteriously sweat now in the video because you're desperate, but at the time you couldn't sweat. How ridiculous. Do you honestly expect anyone to believe that? And that's not a smear, that's just my take on this.
So it's very difficult to be able to prove it, but I don't remember that photograph ever being taken. But
it's possible that it was you with your arm around
that's me, but whether that's my hand or whether that's the position, I have simply no recollection of a photograph ever being taken.
The world has now seen the photo that Virginia Roberts provided, taken by Epstein, we understand, in Ghislaine Maxwell's house.
Well, here's the problem. I've never seen Epstein with a camera in my life.
I think it was Virginia Roberts' camera. She said a little Kodak one that she lent to Epstein. He took a photo, and your arm is round her waist.
I don't remember that photograph ever being taken. I don't remember going upstairs in the house, because that photograph is taken upstairs. And I'm not entirely convinced that, I mean, that is what I would describe as me in that picture. But we can't be certain as to whether or not that's my hand on her whatever it is, left side.
You think that...
Because I have no recollection of that photograph ever being taken.
So why would somebody have put in another hand? You think it is you next to her in the photo?
Oh, it's definitely me. I mean, that's a picture of me. It's not a picture of... I don't believe it's a picture of me in London. Because...
Okay, so again, he's contradicting himself like mad in this. I'm starting to feel sorry for him, actually. He says that photo was taken upstairs and that he's never been upstairs. Well, if you've never been upstairs, how do you know the photo was taken upstairs? How do you know what the upstairs looks like if you've never been upstairs?
The date that we have for that... shows that I was in Boston, or I was in New York the previous day, and I was at a dinner for the Outward Bound Trust in New York, and then I flew up to Boston the following day. And then on the day that she says that this occurred, they'd already left to go to the island before I got back from Boston. So I don't think that could have happened at all. There was
a witness there, Johanna Stolberg, who says that you did visit the house in that month.
I probably did. I don't think... on one of the weird things, I was staying with the... because of what I was doing, I was staying with the Consul General.
Okay, so we've just seen Prince Andrew go on a bit of an absurd tangent. He was... first very clear about what he was doing there and why he was there and what day he went there. Yeah, as soon as the testimony of a witness who puts him specifically in the house where Virginia Roberts was, he starts doing his classic Prince Andrew response of going off on some bizarre tangent about meeting someone, going somewhere, flying from Boston to New York, from New York to New York. Sleight of hand, now you see it, now you don't type of thing, to throw you off the scent of the original question. Whenever someone goes off on a tangent like that, it is usually indicative of some kind of deception. Okay, that is the end of part 2 of this video, and I will have the third and final part ready in a day or so. If this video is well received. I did say I'd make this second part if the first part was well received, and it has been. I'm only a small YouTube channel at the moment. I need your help to grow, so please share this video, like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if this video gets traction in the way my first one was, I shall make the part 3. I didn't want to put it all into one video because people have lives to lead. They can't watch a 1.5 hour video, in my opinion. It's not the level I'm at yet. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to Aldra Thulis I'm sorry, but your name is hard to pronounce. I did say I'd give you a shout out. I'm giving you out a shout out, Audra. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you to everyone else. Thank you to the boys at English Resistance. You're doing a great job, fantastic job, and I will see you again in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.